Hello and welcome to my review for Pacific Rim Uprising. The sequel to the 2013 film Pacific Rim, directed by Guillermo del Toro. I don't know who directed this one, and I kind of feel bad for that actually, that I didn't look it up. But when I heard Del Toro wasn't returning to direct the sequel, I was immediately less interested, you know. And to be honest, I can't say that this film is a disappointment because I wasn't really anticipating it that much. It's just a big film to go and see, and I love blockbusters and big, larger than life movies done on a huge scale, which is what this film kinda delivered, but not quite. And it's interesting because one of the things I loved about Pacific Rim, I don't think it's a great film, but I loved it because it reminded me of the movies of the 80s and 90s that had a lot of cheesy elements to them. The character beats in Pacific Rim are very, just typical. We've seen it done before. And even some of the acting wasn't the best, but I just really loved how it felt like a throwback to the movies I grew up with. The special effects and the cinematography and the design and the big story of these invading monsters from another dimension, these kaiju, and then the huge kind of massive kind of machines they built to fight them, the Jaegers. Love all that stuff. I've always loved big scale stuff in movies, just larger than life, things that you couldn't even imagine seeing in the real world. A lot of that is what movies are all about. You go back to King Kong in the 30s, it's that kind of massive escapism. And this one just fell flat on pretty much everything I can think of. I think it's an okay action movie. The story isn't really worth anything. Like, we have John Boyega playing the son of Idris Elba's character in the first Pacific Rim. I could see where it was going. He very much is, shying away from his father's legacy, and he's one of those characters who has to who has a parent or someone who they have to live up to in terms of a reputation. They can either run from that reputation, or they can kind of strive to live up to that reputation. At the beginning of the film, he's running away from the reputation, and at the end of the film, he's trying to live up to that reputation and that legacy of his father. You know where it's going. There's a young girl who, she was a good little actress. I say little because she's short. I'm not saying, oh yeah, good little actress. But she, young kid, and John Boyega, who kind of was the adult of the situation, which is a bit, weird, but I mean, he's coming on in leaps and bounds. And I remember when he did Attack the Block back in 2011, I thought that guy's got something, and I'm not saying like I know all this kind of stuff, but it's clear to anyone who saw Attack the Block that he had this natural charisma that came across on the camera. And it has been, continuing to develop over these big films he's been involved in, like Star Wars and now this movie. And I enjoyed him in the film. I think he's a really good actor and he's a lot of fun. He has a great sense of comedic timing. There are fun moments in the film, but they're usually based on other things, like when they take off in the Jaeger. It's playing the that Russian thing, the tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la, which just absolutely cracked me up. But that's because I was laughing at my history with that and how me and Connie loved that thing so much. So it's just weird little bits that made me laugh. I loved Scrapper, the kind of small mini Jaeger. I thought that had a good kind of character to it, where it could turn into a ball and roll around and stuff. There's a great shot where it rolls along this curved building. There's some cool action beats, but it just felt like Transformers overall. And I just didn't engage with it that much. The villain of the film, the guy meant well in terms of, I think, the performance, but it didn't work for me, So overall, Pacific Rim Uprising, there's not really too much to say about it. Okay, I was just editing this review for Pacific Rim Uprising, and I realized I didn't even talk about the character played by Scott Eastwood, whose character name I couldn't tell you for the life of me. I thought for the whole movie that he was the character from Pacific Rim, played by Charlie Hunnam, but he isn't. And that just shows you how memorable the film was to me. Like, I just thought, oh, it's the guy from the first film, blonde. It was just a disconnect, I think. And yeah, I thought should add that in there because I remember looking up on IMDb after I got out of the cinema. I was like, was he in the first one? Nope. Different actor. Same character? Nope. completely different character as well. So the history between Scott Eastwood's character and John Boyega's character, I thought, oh, this is tying into the first film, and it just wasn't. Unmemorable, you know, in a film that should be all about these big memorable sequences. At the end of the film, it's a big kind of, you know, battle in Tokyo, buildings getting demolished and stuff, and it's just so much is going on, so much is getting destroyed, and you know, I'm not even saying that in a kind of, oh, innocent lives were lost. No, it just was just like bzz, whoosh, bang, you know, oh, Mount Fuji. It's just mind-numbing up to a point, you know. So for me, yeah, didn't really like this film that much. Not a complete write-off. Certainly wasn't a waste of time. You know, I enjoyed, you know, again, the kind of the cool CGI and stuff, but the same with Transformers. I don't mind the Transformers films when I'm watching them, but as soon as I leave the cinema, they're leaving my brain so quickly, you know, like this film is already doing. So it's just one of those things. But I loved the original. I'm not really too disappointed in this one because I still have the original and I love that one. So it is what it is. So let me know your thoughts down below if you saw the film, what you thought of it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you.